Netflix has inked a deal with Warner Brothers Discovery to buy the iconic TV and movie studio.
Netflix is announcing a definitive agreement to buy Warner Brothers in a multi-billion-dollar deal.
Netflix has won a bidding war for Warner Brothers.
Netflix planning to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery in a massive cash and stock deal valued
billion-dollar merger deal between Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery.
Netflix has agreed to buy Warner Brothers and HBO for a whopping $83 billion.
Netflix winning the bidding war for Warner Brothers Discovery this morning, a huge transaction.
Netflix.
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 History doesn't always end with a bang. Sometimes it ends with a signature on an $82.7 billion contract. In December 2025, the global entertainment landscape didn't just shift, it collapsed.
Netflix announcing plans to buy Warner Brothers for nearly $83 billion.
The streaming wars, a decade of multi-billion-dollar burn rates and content gluts, officially ended. Netflix, the Silicon Valley disruptor that began by mailing DVDs in red envelopes, entered into a definitive agreement to acquire Warner Brothers. The house that built Casablanca, Batman, and The Sopranos was no longer a sovereign kingdom.
What exactly is that supposed to be? We don't want any trouble here, gentlemen.
It was now a subsidiary. But this isn't just a story about a merger. It's a story about a heist. A systematic, decade-long dismantling of the economic and creative circuitry of Hollywood. It is the story of how Netflix used a business philosophy to kidnap the world's biggest stars and kill the concept of the movie theater. Welcome to the era of the algorithmic hegemon. To understand how we got to the December 2025 acquisition, we have to understand Netflix's two-pronged strategy. Analysts call them the mechanisms of disruption. But in the halls of talent agencies, they have darker names: the kidnapping and the killing. For years, Netflix operated on a deficit spending model that baffled Wall Street. They weren't just making shows, they were rewiring how culture is financed. They moved from being a content distributor to an architect of global culture. By absorbing Warner Brothers, Netflix didn't just get a library, they got data fuel. They took a century of theatrical prestige and plugged it into a learning loop system. In this new world, the Dark Knight, or Succession, are no longer pieces of art to be curated. They are data points used to predict when you, the subscriber, are about to cancel your membership. The term kidnapping sounds hyperbolic, but in the context of Hollywood labor, it's a clinical description of a financial shift. In the old Hollywood system, talent operated on the risk-reward calculation. If you were an A-list star like Tom Cruise, you took a lower fee up front in exchange for back-end points.
Kilos. That's 1,500 kilos, Barry, in one go. Get it done.
If the movie made $1 billion at the box office, you became a billionaire with it. You were a partner in the art's success. Netflix dismantled this. They introduced the cost-plus model. In the cost-plus model, Netflix pays the production cost plus a premium, often 130% to 150%. They buy out every future right, every residual and every cent of profit. This creates what we call golden handcuffs. The talent is paid regardless of whether the content is a hit or a flop. This sounds great for the actor, but it does something insidious. It removes the celebrity from the open market. It kidnaps them into a walled garden where their value is determined by opaque internal metrics that Netflix refuses to share with the public. The first major hostage was Shonda Rhimes.
And we're moving to Netflix, which is not a television production company, but a streaming television company. So why did you do that?
You know, I really had been looking at what was going on in the industry. You know, television ratings had been sort of slowly lowering. A lot of people were watching things like Netflix. I knew what I was
In 2017, she was the queen of network television. When she left ABC for Netflix for an initial $150 million, the industry gasped. By 2021, that deal escalated to nearly $450 million. Why? Because Rhimes wasn't just making a show. She was building a lifestyle brand under the Netflix umbrella. From the Queen's Ball, live events, to VR experiences, Netflix didn't want Bridgerton. They wanted the entire life cycle of Rhimes' imagination. Then came the Ryan Murphy experiment. $300 million. Murphy, the man behind Glee and American Horror Story, was stripped from Fox just as Disney was moving in to buy it. This was a power play. For years, Murphy's Netflix output was critically panned. But the algorithm didn't care about reviews. It cared about engagement. When Dahmer and The Watcher generated over 1 billion viewing hours combined in 2022, the kidnapping was validated. Murphy wasn't a rock star anymore. He was a high-functioning component of the content hose. If Rhimes and Murphy provided the prestige, Adam Sandler provided the comfort food.
You can throw a nice punch. Care for a lift, ma'am? Yeah. Ma'am, do you care?
In 2014, Sandler's theatrical power was waning. Netflix saw data that no one else had. People re-watch Sandler movies at staggering rates. They signed him for $250 million, then another $275 million. By 2025, Adam Sandler became the world's highest-paid actor, out-earning Tom Cruise. Yet, he hasn't had a theatrical hit in 6 years. He has effectively vanished from the cultural conversation of cinema, while becoming the permanent background noise of the American living room. This is the Sandler-verse isolation. But the most aggressive move was the Knives Out acquisition.
The new movie is Knives Out. People are very excited about this movie. And in fact,
Netflix paid $469 million for 2 sequels. That's $235 million per film for a whodunit. To put that in perspective, the first movie only cost $40 million to make. Why pay that much? Because it was a signal. It told A-list talent, we can pay you more than a box office success ever could. It bought Rian Johnson and Daniel Craig out of the theater. Glass Onion was given a token 1-week release. But its true purpose was to serve as a customer acquisition tool, a digital asset, not a movie.
It's just a terrible, terrible game.
I'm here at the behest of a client.
Who?
I cannot say, but let me assure you.
We're very excited. We think that the Warner Brothers films and series and HBO, all those products work better in our business model, and our business model works better with those films and series.
December 2025. The acquisition. The deal for Warner Brothers was structured for a post-cable world. Netflix didn't want the past. They didn't want the linear cable networks like CNN or Discovery. They forced a spin-off of those dying assets.
Not enough.
What they wanted was the IP engine. DC Comics, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, the WB Library. This is where the strategy of compounding beats reconstitution. Paramount and Skydance tried to reconstitute the old bundle, news, sports, and movies. Netflix, however, views Batman not as a movie character, but as data fuel. In the Netflix worldview, owning Warner Brothers allows them to transition from a content aggregator to a content monopoly. They now own the entire life cycle of the most valuable stories in pop culture history.
Are you ready?
I'm ready to fly.
If kidnapping was the strategy for talent, killing was the strategy for the theater. In April 2025, Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos stood at the Time 100 Summit and delivered a eulogy. He called the theatrical window outmoded. He argued that Netflix wasn't destroying Hollywood, they were saving it by giving consumers what they wanted, the ability to watch a blockbuster on their couch on day one.
Have you destroyed Hollywood?
No, we're saving Hollywood.
You're saving Hollywood.
Yeah, look, what's the big difference of everything you just listed there is that Netflix is a very consumer-focused company. We really do care that we deliver the programming to you in a way you want to watch it, that it's programming that you love and desire. So we don't let, a lot of other outside forces get in the way of that. So an example, I think, is that you mentioned the box office being down, just by way of example.
But saving looks a lot like an execution. The announcement of the Warner Brothers deal sent shockwaves through the stock market. Cinemark, AMC, and IMAX saw their shares plummet. Why? Because Warner Brothers used to release 20 movies a year in theaters. Analysts predict that under Netflix, that number will drop to 0 for mid-budget films, and maybe 1 or 2 events for the others. Christopher Nolan called it straight-to-video. Martin Scorsese argued that algorithms treat viewers as consumers rather than audiences. They fear the contentification of cinema, where a masterpiece is indistinguishable from a YouTube unboxing video in the eyes of the UI. The paradox? Scorsese made The Irishman for Netflix. Why? Because the kidnapping works on everyone. Netflix is often the only entity left with a checkbook big enough to fund a master's vision, provided that master is willing to let the theatrical dream die.
Let me get this straight. You bought my movie just to kill it?
I did.
He did.
Traditional studios rely on gut instinct. A producer likes a script, they take a gamble. Netflix relies on taste clusters. They don't see you as a 30-year-old male. They see you as a member of Cluster 452, gritty female-led action with a hint of period romance. Everything is A/B tested. The thumbnail you see for a movie is different from the one your neighbor sees. If you like romance, Netflix shows you the two leads kissing. If you like action, they show you the explosion. It's effective, but it's also a trick. It creates a disconnect between the marketing and the art. This data-driven culture isn't just for the audience, it's for the employees. Netflix pays engineers $450,000 a year, golden handcuffs for the tech side. High pay in exchange for total assimilation. Directors are no longer just creators, they are feeders of the algorithm. The acquisition of Warner Brothers isn't just a corporate merger, it's a labor catastrophe. When one company, a monopsony, becomes the only major buyer in town, the workers lose all leverage. For the middle class of Hollywood, the supporting actors, the staff writers, the Netflix model is a death sentence. Without residuals from reruns on cable or syndication, their long-term income has vanished. Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders have called the WB deal an anti-monopoly nightmare. They argue that the concentration of ownership will drive down wages and eliminate creative freedom. If Netflix is the only place to sell a show, and Netflix only buys what the algorithm says will work, what happens to the stories that the algorithm hasn't seen before? As we look at the ruins of the old studio system in late 2025, we have to ask, what have we lost? We have a steady stream of content. We have massive paydays for the elite. We have the convenience of the couch. But we have lost the shared cultural event. We have lost the communal experience of the dark theater. Hollywood hasn't been killed. It's been reformatted. It's no longer an art form to be experienced. It's a utility to be consumed, like water or electricity. And Netflix is now the sole provider. The heist is complete. The vault is empty. And the credits are rolling. But you've probably already clicked next episode. The acquisition of Warner Brothers is the biggest shift in media history, but it's part of a larger trend of algorithmic consolidation. Do you think contentification is inevitable? Or is there a future for independent cinema outside the walled garden?
That is Netflix, maybe reshaping the future of Hollywood with this acquisition of Warner Brothers. How do you see this affecting the future of the movie business? What are your thoughts? How's Hollywood reacting?
I don't know what the result of this will be. We shall see.